we'll go ahead and call this meeting in order, 12:05. Looks good. We'll go ahead and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. You got focus on that flag back there. Okay.
I got a flag.
Okay, ready? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right. Then we'll turn it over to staff for roll call.
Ashley, if you could handle the roll call.
Ashley, you're on mute. Okay. Adrian Trevino,
Present.
George Narvaez,
Present.
Omar Gonzalez Longoria,
Present.
Jose Angel Lopez, Arturo Tomás Benavides, Elizabeth Alonso Villarreal,
present.
Robert Judd Gilpin,
Present.
Jose D. Gonzalez,
Present.
and Hector Cortez.
Present.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 confirmed. We have a quorum.
All right. Quorum outstanding. Okay. Somebody would like to make a motion on the absences?
I'll make a motion
Yeah.
to approve of the absences.
Okay, Adrian, a second.
Mr. Chairman, if you can allow for a discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I know it was one of the reports made by the vice chair last time, so I do have, we've been doing some research on, the absences and who's here, who's not here. If you'd like to hear that part now, before you go through that, excusing.
Yeah, please. I guess I would go for the first and second, and open up for discussion, and then move on to vote. So, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Judge second, and then go ahead and we'll work on discussion now. So.
It's going to be a bad discussion, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, if you look back in the back page of the reports, you'll see the Airport Advisory Board attendance list that the vice chair had asked for in the last meeting. And there's a lot of information there, but if you look to the full right side, you'll see the total meeting absences since January of 2020 for each member. Now, myself and Ms. Borgstead have been in contact with the city secretary. Our original ordinance for the advisory board date back to 1983. What is written in the original ordinance, however, is now superseded by City Council's motion dated in 2019 for absences from any advisory board or board capacity for the city of Laredo. So, from talking to legal, basically what it says is in a calendar year, 4 absences, whether excused, unexcused, whatever the reason, that seat is forfeited at that point. So, you can see on the list.
Somebody mute. Can we mute? There's some background in the back, and it's really loud.
Ashley, can you mute everyone?
Except for the conference room, Ashley. We'll go through and mute it. And so what I would say to that is there's 3 members that fall within that realm. So this is basically what the ordinance now says. Section 2157 of the Laredo City Code currently provides committee members shall automatically forfeit their appointed position for failure to attend 3 meetings in a calendar year, irrespective of whether said absences are excused, unexcused, consecutive, or non-consecutive. The proposed amendment excludes special meetings and increases the number of absences to 4. The proposed amendment also prohibits committee members that have been removed under the provision from serving on any city board, commission, or committee until the expiration of the current term of the appointing member of the city council. So when you look at this and then the previous council action, it's 4 absences that are, if you're absent 4 times, then at that point, we do need to make contact to the city secretary's office. What I would say to that is, for those members that are on this list that are at 4 or above, and I think some that are not in attendance today, there is a procedure that we have to follow with city secretary. What I would suggest, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman, is that to have those members reach out to myself and Elsie, and if any of those members are on the call today, and we'll talk to them, and we'll talk to the city secretary as well. But I wanted you to have the context of it. The way that this ordinance is written, I don't see much wiggle room in there for any of us, just regardless. So I wanted you to understand what City Council had passed and really give you clarification to it, because I was a little unclear of it myself.
And you're on mute. You can unmute yourself in the bottom.
Okay, all right. Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for staff for bringing this forward. The attendance list is thank you for that. But I was really looking for that ordinance, whatever it had. But I know that many of us travel, have other commitments and things of that nature, and I don't think we've actually really had a good training information about the attendance, if I'm, that's what I'm thinking. And for those members that are going to contact you, and maybe you can specify to the city secretary's office or legal or whoever it might be, that maybe we can, moving forward, especially during this new fiscal year, we can make sure that, well, now everybody is aware. What I didn't want to be doing is approving, and we excuse. I mean, I've been absent, and we excuse because people can't attend. But I just didn't want to be excusing if we're going against what the ordinance has said. So it's just for clarification, and I'm sure I really appreciate everybody attending and all that. We have a lot of work to do. But when you do speak to the other folks, maybe I don't know, Mr. Chairman, could we say that moving forward we'll just abide by the attendance?
I agree. The one thing is I just been moving forward and requesting the vote due to the fact of protocol from what I saw from previously done before. But at the same time, I'm just looking at that. I don't know whether they're excused or unexcused. So I agree with you. I think that we should follow the legal protocol that's established, and see what we have to do and move forward from here, and rely on Jeff and Elsie to sit there and comment on what our next step on this is. So.
And I guess, like, whenever we do have to be absent, I guess just call in and say, I can't because of whatever. And maybe that when we prepare to excuse, we can say that, they called in or emailed, it can be through any form of communication, just so that we make sure that we excuse the members who are not able to attend.
And what we can do, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chair, is, we can take this information as well and your recommendation to City Secretary. Like I said, I did talk to legal today. In the ordinance that City Council passed, irregardless of the reason, it's for and done. But I agree. I think we're all a little unclear of that process, and so we will definitely take that information to City Secretary. We'll reach out to those members that are above that limit, and then we will get something together. We'll send out the ordinance as well, Ashley, if you could do that to everybody, the superseding ordinance for the 4, and then we will go from guidance of city secretary and from the attorney's office as well. And because the other thing too is we haven't reached out to those members directly either yet. So to understand, we know at least one of them has said that their intention is not to be on the board anymore. So, that's an easy one. And then the other two we'll have conversations with, but we definitely will make the case that you're saying about education of this policy and see where we go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Fair enough. So I guess that was really some really good discussion, and we'll just wait to sit there. We can get a copy of the ordinance and move forward for the next meeting.
I've got something to add.
Discussion?
Yeah, I've got something to add. Maybe we could reach out to the other advisory committees and have all of them pass an item recommending and advising the council that we have the same rules for attendance as they do.
Oh, I see. You mean like the same, what city council abides to?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would make sense if all the other advisory committees make the same recommendation. Why isn't our attendance treated just like theirs?
Well, they should. At this point, it superseded everybody.
No. I think what Mr. Gilpin is saying that the policy that city council put in place is more restrictive than their own policy. I believe is what you're saying.
Is that what you're?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that would be your prerogative. I mean, if you so choose to make that motion, I would leave that to you guys as the board.
There's a motion.
Since we already have the motion established, Judd, would you like to amend the motion?
I would. I'd like to amend that motion.
Can you clearly state just how you would like to phrase that?
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion to allow for the advisory committees to have the same attendance rules as the city council does. So that if it's an excused absence, just the same as the case with them, it doesn't count against them. I mean, I'd like the same policy.
Fair enough. And do I have a second on that?
Second.
I'm sorry, was that Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, is there any additional discussion anybody would like to have on this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. All right. I guess our next step would be the minutes. Anybody like to review the last? I'm sorry.
Motion to approve. Excuse board members.
Yeah, there was a motion, I guess, also, Mr. Chairman, on the floor to excuse the previous members. I guess what I would say to that is with the current ordinance, if you did it, it would be symbolic. I'll leave that to you, but either way, it doesn't. With the current ordinance passed by City Council, it wouldn't matter whether excused or unexcused. So I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
I would suggest that we go ahead and motion for the excuse in case they allow us to change the policy or whatever.
So there's already a motion. There's Ms. Trevino went ahead and motioned, second by Mr. Judd. Gilpin, so it would be to take the action if we proceed?
Yeah, to clarify, my motion, my amendment was to add to the other motion.
Yeah.
So I would say excuse the people that were absent and ask for the council to apply the same rule to us as they apply to themselves.
Okay, all in one.
All in one, so.
Yeah.
Yep, disregard. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought we were at, because we just amended the first motion. So I guess we're clear with that now.
Yes.
Move forward.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's take a look at the last meetings and the minutes, the approval of the minutes for regular schedule. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to review that since we just got them just a little while ago.
For the future, can we get them a little bit ahead of time? That way we can just review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, Vice Chair, do you have a time frame in mind just so we could, since Ashley's on the line and everything, we kind of get that established and make sure that it's something we can commit to?
At least the day before so we can, just take a look. I'm good with the day before.
Okay, Yeah, that's not a problem. I think, Ashley, is that fine on your end?
Yes, I'll go ahead and start sending them the day before.
Okay, all right.
Jeff, just for clarity, when are the minutes finalized? Are they done the day before, or when do we? Because if we could do them, I'm sorry.
Friday, do you want to have them, Friday when the agenda is posted?
That would be great. I mean, that gives us the whole weekend and so forth, so we don't have to be, sometimes the day before, we kind of, everything, it'd be great if we can have them at the time that they are available, if allowed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Ashley, any issues there? Is that fine?
Yes.
Fine. Well, after the meeting, the minutes should be prepared the next day, the next 2
Okay.
days. So
Okay.
I should have them on time.
Would that include the reports also, or would you be sending that the day of the meeting?
I think the reports were usually pretty close to the day of, right, Elsie?
The Monday.
The Monday, that Monday before. So we could probably do the Monday before the meeting, so that would give you 3 days or so.
That's
2.5
fine.
days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think everything is in order. I mean, I'll make a motion to approve, but I don't see anything. I mean, unless somebody else spots something, but I'll make a motion to approve both minutes.
I'll second.
So Adrian, second. So we got motion by Elizabeth, second by Adrian. Okay, any additional comments other than having them posted as soon as possible? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move forward to citizens' comments. Citizens are required to fill out any witness cards if they submit any to the A. Garcia TI Laredo, Texas email no later than 12:15 p.m. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. So if anybody, any additional comments want to be made, please follow the citizen comment guidelines. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For staff reports, if you go to the employment deployment report on your packet, you'll see that traffic is still, trending down. We've kind of plateaued over the last few months. Obviously, everybody knows what's been happening in the media, spikes in COVID. It's not the act of traveling, and that's what we've been telling people. When IATA, International Air Transport Association, they put together a study. You have a 1 in 27 million chance of contracting COVID on an aircraft. The problem is where people are going and what they're doing on the opposite end of their travel. So we've been tracking this, obviously the same as everybody in the economy. We're hoping for good news on the vaccine front, and that, it will be equally distributed and we'll continue to see numbers improve. But until we have, an effective vaccine that's widely available, I think we'll continue to see us tracking down in our employment numbers. If you go to the next page for the cargo gross landing weight report, you'll see some good numbers in here through September and October, up significantly. Obviously, this is a good sign that what we were lacking back starting in April, May, when things really started to nosedive because of COVID, the factory started to come back online. The conversations we've been having out on the airfield is that, the traffic that we're seeing now is on projection for what they initially were thinking for 2020 numbers. But there has been talk that the automotive manufacturing plants on both sides may close again. There's been nothing official made on that as far as I know, but we're hoping that we continue through the end of December here with robust automotive happening, and we'll hopefully make the numbers that we were anticipating to make for 2020. So we're moving in the right direction, which is good. If you go to the next page, you'll see the Federal Inspection Station. We see the same story here, a tremendous amount of activity happening over the last couple of months, the same thing attributed to. They go hand in hand with the cargo. So you can see in October the 570% increase from 10 to 67 of last year. Everybody's making up for the time that was lost within the spring and through summer when we really closed down here on both sides. If you go to the next page, the Federal Inspection FIS operations, you'll see a similar story as well where we're tracking up. We've talked about this in previous meetings, but there has been an increase in general aviation traffic as well. A lot of those on-demand charter operation services that fly general aviation have been exploding in growth across both the U.S. and Mexico, just because the people that can afford it rather fly with people they know in a smaller aircraft rather than maybe what they anticipate they would expose to in a larger aircraft. So we have seen some positive trends in air taxi, private passenger service here at the airport over the last couple of months. With the total operations, it's indicative of what we saw in the last two reports in the FIS at 139% increase for the month of October and 72% increase for September. So where we saw those numbers really falling off, we do see a return to that service. So better story there for sure. Fuel flow report. Once again, tracking, if you look at the number where we're down about 33% in traffic activity, we're down about 37% in fuel. So, but fuel sales have been improving. Same story going hand in hand, more aircraft, more fuel sales. So you see that 86% over October. And that's where the fuel providers here in the airport really can start to make up for the lack of activity we saw in the spring and summer due to COVID, or the beginning of summer, I should say. And then on the delinquency report, you'll see on here that we have several. One that I wanted to point out was United Airlines. I think what we're attributing that to is the airlines have reduced so much staff recently that people are moving in and out of these administrative positions, because where the airlines are cutting, they're cutting in those office space staff rather than the frontline workers. Yeah. So as new people come in and take over duties, we're working with them to get them to understand accounts payable to the airport. So I don't think that that's indicative of anything here with United or the company. I think what we're doing is trying to retrain new employees, when our due dates are, when payments are, and we're working through that. But I don't know if there's any other questions on any of them, but particularly in this one with the delinquent report. Did we want to talk briefly about?
Sorry. What about the car rentals budget and Avis, the over 90? So budget in itself, they filed for bankruptcy. So we're working through the bankruptcy court. I realistically, they're a huge company. I'm going to assume we're not going to see that. Budget obviously has left the airport. Hertz. Or Susie. Oh, not Hertz. I'm sorry, Hertz, yeah. I guess I was off on that one. Elsie, why don't you explain budget? Because I'm talking out of my side of my mouth.
Hertz has left the premises a few months back due to bankruptcy proceedings. They're reconfiguring their business plan. So we might see them in the future, but not at this point. So we've been working with them as well, but they cleaned up everything and paid off their debt and left the premises. Budget is also a process of, now they have a off-site office off of Jackman that they've been working on also restructuring their business. So we've been working with them as well on the different personnel who handles their accounting. I think it's very similar to what we're seeing with United and some of the other airlines. It's just the car rentals have been affected tremendously with COVID. So we've been working with all of them to make sure that they rework their accounting personnel and send us the payments on a timely basis. But that's what it is on that one as well. we're in communication with budget. Like I said, they had their off-site business off of Jackman, and they would basically come in and only by appointment basis to pick up passengers at the front. We have gotten a request from the corporate office that they wish to come into the airport. So we're in discussions with them to see if that's available. But this wouldn't have to be cleared before any of that could happen.
And were they part of the incentive agreement at all? The economic incentive? None of them took any of that?
No.
Economic incentive?
No. Mm-hmm.
Was Avis part of the incentive agreement?
Avis was. So we're going to be working with that account to see if there's, we just went to city council. I think we were waiting for the final approval that happened Monday, if I'm not mistaken, to be able to make adjustments on the account for Avis. So they're going to be getting adjusted from, instead of MAG, they're only going to go to the 10%. So Avis might be seeing some of those changes on that account number.
I did want to mention in this report for the board's attention, jet sales, the airport and jet sales, as you know, they've been on the delinquency report. We have worked with them through the court system and city legal. We've reached an agreement, a signed order from the judge for eviction. We have that order now. We're working a plan of departure for jet sales from that property location. So we are in contact with their attorneys. It will probably involve, some processes, obviously, to clean the area up, and then there are aircraft located in that location. So we've been working with RS&H, our engineering firm, for a parking location for the aircraft. Obviously not. It would pay the same fees that anybody would pay to park on the airfield. And a time frame in that same plan for the removal of those aircraft from the airfield, whether that's repair and they fly out or they are dismantled and removed from the airport. But we do have a signed order for eviction. And now part of that agreement that we made is to work with them on a plan for removal from the airport. During that time frame, they are still responsible for paying the rent on the facility and holding everything that they normally, any tenant would, insurance requirements. So from there, if there's...
Jeff,
sorry.
just a quick question. Yes, I noticed that you have a lot of FTZ payments that are the 61 and 90 days. Are those because this is the annual payment that they have to do? There's just a lot of them on the list right now, or?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. They only pay once a year, and this was the invoices, the new ones that got sent out for this new year. So we're working through the different agencies to make sure that it went to the right contacts. I know they've had their share of changes in personnel. So we're working, it looks like there's a few that are still going through that process. And then some might make changes as well, but yes, you're correct. That's their annual payment.
Okay, thanks. Do you anticipate losing anybody or additional growth? Because I know that I hear a lot of comments, as I've copied you in on as well, about additional companies that want to join. But have you heard any feedback from these individuals, or can you comment on anything on this?
I would tell you that it just, COVID has made a lot of changes on everybody, obviously. We're seeing it across the board. It really depends on the individual business, what their contingency plans were during this COVID time, how did they handle the changes that were going through these federal changes in duties and trade agreements. I know, as you know, several maquiladoras, were closed earlier on in the year, so they got affected through that as well. So I will tell you that some are reducing space. Several did reduce FTC space, while others were increasing. And even though we have gotten reduced activity from new requests, I will tell you that there's some that are still requesting. We have another one on the pipeline that wants to come in, one or two. So it's pretty spread out right now. But I think the signs are positive. It's just, I think a lot of them are working to see how the new trade agreement, the USMCA, will apply, and how do they nurture that agreement with the existing services that each custom broker offers their clients.
Thank you.
There's no further questions on the, oh, sorry, is there a question? Alejandro, or I don't know, RSNH is on the line as well, if you want to give a status update on the.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, regarding the reconstruction of the cargo page 13, we have finished pouring concrete. We are done with all the concrete. The project is about almost complete, and we are going to have a pre-final inspection next week, December the 17th, and we'll prepare the punch list items, and the project is almost complete. And we're within the contract a lot of time, so everything looks okay.
Thank you, Alejandro. We wanted to talk briefly about the true cost calculator that is on our website now. We've been working on this over the past several months. I think it looks like Ashley is going to pull it up. This is a tool that can be used by the community. It took a long time because there's a lot of back-end programming. We wanted it to be a true calculator, and we wanted it to tell the truth, whether that is, you know, flying San Antonio or Austin versus Laredo makes sense. So when you look at this, we tried to make it basic as well, but it's a tool that we're going to promote to the community that they can use because, and this is something an airport the size of Laredo typically faces. I mean, in reality is the fares at an airport this size are going to be higher. And so when people see that base fare, the first thing is, oh, I can fly out of here for 300 or San Antonio for 180, whatever the difference may be. But what we tried to do here with the price calculator is to allow people the tools to decide what they're going to do with the trip. It's hard to compete with somebody if they get a ride from their friend and it's free and they get dropped off in San Antonio and their time doesn't matter to them. But, you know, if you're either flying for leisure, you're staying at a hotel, you're parking at San Antonio, you're parking at Austin, this tool allows you to take the base fare that you find versus maybe like a Southwest versus American, how many people are traveling in your party, and allows them the opportunity to look at what the true cost would be for them to fly from San Antonio to Austin. From us working this here at the airport, I will say the majority of the time, it's cheaper to fly out of Laredo if you're doing the driving and you're doing the parking and things that go along with traveling away from Laredo. So it doesn't take any false claims. We made it accurate. We made it, and if it shows that San Antonio or Austin's cheaper, it will give that, you know, to the individual. But these are effective tools because it allows people the opportunity to really get involved into their ticket fare price and see beyond just the base fare of Southwest versus American or vice versa, and what they're actually going to spend to go to one of those other airports. So we wanted to showcase it to you a little bit. We have been working on a plan to get this out for public consumption so they know it's on the website, so they know they can go in and use it. It's a pretty simple tool. Anybody should be able to use it that's, you know, general public that's traveling.
Yeah, and it's active now. So anybody wanting to take a look at that is at www.flylaredotexas.com. As you can see, Ashley went through that process there. It's fairly easy to get into. I would hope that, you know, you give it a try and share it with your friends and family members. And it is just a tool, another tool to just help the community, and hopefully it'll help them with their next future travel plans.
Elsie, is it listed on the actual Laredo Airport website?
Yes.
Is it linked there?
Yeah. So where you see, this is what Ashley is showing you right now. That's our website. You're looking at it right now live.
Okay, so let's say, I mean, I usually go to City of Laredo. It's the easiest thing off my, my mind to go to. And then I look at departments and I go to the airport. So this is where it lands on, right?
Yeah, so if you Google Laredo, Texas Airport or Laredo Airport on Google, it'll give you the link for those of you that, wouldn't remember it. And if you go, this is live right now, this is their website. And so under traveler information, you have different sources of information available to you. It's at the very top.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, no problem.
And we are, like I said, we're going to put the link out, social media. We're working with Advanced Media, our consultant, to get it out there just so people know the tool exists so they can make some wise decisions if they so choose on their next travel plan. So. And
if you're in social media, if you do happen to have anybody out there at social media, you can link us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or Twitter, and all of our different website and social media are linked as links are available there too. And because you want to make sure and use the official sources. And not maybe a social media that was created by somebody else. So please always remember to use the official website and social media that we have posted online.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so the next thing we wanted to briefly talk about was the COVID-19 safety measures that we're taking here in the airport. I know for those of you that have come through the facility, you see the face guard shields, the social distance marking that we have on the seating on the floor. We have hand sanitizer located throughout the terminal, both on the public side and on the sterile side. One of the neat things that we just installed that you see on the screen here is UV hand sanitizers on the escalators. So we're working on some signage because the apparatus itself is internal to the escalator, so people don't see it. But Elsie's working on some stickers that will go on the handrail so people know it's disinfected. But what's happening is as the handrail rotates, it goes through the UV light, and so it's continuously disinfected throughout its operation.
Yeah.
And I believe it's to 99.99% of bacteria and virus and germs. So it's pretty neat. It's one of those things that obviously a lot of people touch. So it's nice technology that will allow the traveling passengers further comfort as they're coming through the facility to know that things like these measures are being taken in place. But
and so it's a great thing because it's, like Jeff mentioned, it's continuous. So it's not like we're doing it once, twice, or 3 times a day. It's, every minute that the escalator is moving, it's doing the self-cleaning on top of what we clean as well manually by our custodial personnel. So this is, even during COVID, it's excellent. It's a safety measure, but also moving past COVID, it would always be installed. So, and still operational. So I think it's a great feature and a good investment for everybody.
Okay. So the next thing we wanted to talk about, we had an RFP out for the federal building development site. This is a non-aeronautical property on the airport. We did receive a proposal in on this, so we're currently going through those steps with ourselves, with the city attorneys, and others within the city of Laredo. So not too much at this point because we haven't even started a selection process or anything. So I hate to be vague on it, but we did have that out. We did receive some information in on it, a proposal. So we'll go through the process and then hopefully have further information for the board as it becomes more available.
And so for those of you, so you can get your bearings, it's basically the property where the park and ride, what some people remember as a park and ride, it's basically a vacant lot. And then also the lot across from that. There's a substantial area, which we think will complement very much the active investment by the federal government north of that with the CBP Aero Marine hangars that are currently under planning and development and design, that is. So there should be a good development opportunity for that whole area of the airport and the city which we would hope that it would be a good economic, development there, opportunity, and a catalyst for more growth of the city.
And then the final, we have an RFP out for the what referred to as airport micro market vending machine services here at the airport. As we had spoke last time, the two things that we've been trying to do was work with the plan for the overall concessions at the airport with the development and the terminal improvement program. And then, but we know we have a real need now to get something in here for the traveling public to use that is simple and easy. They can grab a drink, grab a bag of chips. We had a presentation done a while back on the concept of a micro market, which was the first time I had heard what is referred to as a micro market. But the concept's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. If you've been in a hotel, one of the higher ends, like an Embassy Suites, where they have a it's cashier list location by the counter that people can go in and pick up their items and self-checkout like you would at like an H-E-B, only there's not someone there. So it reduced the cost to an operator to do that. And it's simple for us to build out or for them to build out in this location, whether it's the old gift shop downstairs and then also upstairs where the old duty free used to be. So in your mind, I would picture when you travel like that Hudson News style where you can get those type of services just without an individual there. So I think it's a neat concept. We do have the RFP out. We've had a really good response to it so far. The RFP closes on January 13th. We've sent it around not only locally, but nationally to individuals that provide these type of services. So that closes on January 13th, and then we're going to rapid pace the selection process to get some kind of service in here sooner than later. And it's also something that won't impact the terminal improvement program because, like I said, it is low cost to produce, and we can move it around within what we're doing with the design. So I think it will help us now, especially with the passengers traveling, and give them some better services. And if there's no questions on that, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe we have action items today or requests.
The phase 13.
Excuse me, phase 13. No, we talked about phase 13.
Oh, okay.
We do have the one final request, if you'd like to move to that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let's move to the final request. Yeah, please.
So I know the Vice Chair had asked for what we have in the construction budget. I've been going through all of our numbers, and I made my own head spin, so I'm gonna give the basic numbers, and we can go from there if there's further questions. But in our construction budget right now, we have $5.5 million available. In our overall budget, this doesn't include the $5.5 million. We have $9.9 million. We have $5.5 million in construction, $9.9 million total, and then we have a $4.9 million reimbursement coming from CARES Act right now. So with that and the process, there's a lot of things happening right now with the finance department here in Laredo because it's the end of the fiscal year for them. So there's a lot getting pushed back around. But when you look at, I know, Vice Chair, when you had asked last time about, approving, 10% or whatever the local match may be, the easiest, simple thing to say right now is we have $5.5 million available in that construction fund. And then if for some reason we needed to move funds into there to cover something, we would have the $9.9 million of total airport revenue at the moment. And then, like I said, we do have $4.9 million coming in CARES Act reimbursement. But Elsie, did you want to follow up on any of that?
No, we're good.
Okay, but there is like, how every year the budget is presented and, your P&L or, but I'm going to take your word. There is 5.5 million in there. So it's just one way, just to make it, easier when we approve and all these projects are great. We don't want to hold anything back. I just want to make sure that when we say there's money available, there is money available.
Yeah, and so, I did talk to finance as well, and, the process too is they actually wouldn't let us even bring it to you if there wasn't. So the process that we have to do is to verify the funding is available kind of first and foremost, and then if it isn't, we can't even come to you without a request.
Yeah.
So, I agree, and I think that, we do present our budget. It's all transparent. It's all there, and we're more than happy to share that. But just so you know, I can't unilaterally make a decision to present something to you without first confirming that there's money available to do it.
Budget available.
Yeah.
We're paying.
Yeah, and the budget, like Jeff mentioned, and Alejandro here, it's available for public view on the City of Laredo website for the entire city. So the budget is there, but on a month-to-month, regular operation, like Jeff mentioned, all the items have to be vetted, not just by legal, but finance department. So we couldn't even bring up, like Jeff mentioned, any motions to award anything. And we need to make transfers within the funds. We always have the availability to do that, to move around funding if needed, especially when it pertains to local match for a new grant. But we've been very successful, luckily, this year with federal funding. For the most part, it's 100%. But needless to say is, yes, that's part of our fiduciary responsibilities, is to make sure that we always have monies available prior to any expenses being done.
And you say it's on the website?
Yeah, on the budget.
Yeah.
So if you look at the departments under budget, you would see there, and the CAFRs are also available under Finance Department tab.
And Ashley, if you could, when you send out the ordinance, could you put a link in for this?
The link, okay, to see the budget, you mean? Right?
Yeah, where the budget's located.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's quite large, so it has to be through a link. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
fine.
That's the
Thank
link.
you.
Yep. And I believe, Mr. Chairman,
There's no action items.
there's no action item, so that would be the last of what I have.
Yeah, well, we went right through this, and I mean, we still used almost the full hour. So, if there's any additional comments anybody would like to make, or
Yes,
any
if I
additional
may,
requests?
Joe, if I may, going back to the attendance item that we were discussing, on a couple of the occasions, I was, I guess, an incident, and Ashley can vouch for me that I tried to connect. We called, we talked to each other. The intent was to be there, but with this COVID, obviously, I can't be there, and it just didn't connect. So I just wanted to say that for the record, so that it would be on the record that I was trying to connect. I did make communication with Ashley, and I was not able to connect on some of those meetings. Just wanted to say that for the record.
So absolutely, thank you, Mr. Cortez. Like I said, we've been diving into this a lot with legal and stuff, so we definitely will take what the chairman, vice chair, and the rest of the board has told us, and we'll talk to legal, and we'll make a case of kind of education moving forward, and that we're sending out the most up-to-date ordinance as well, and we'll see what their response is for sure.
Thank you.
I felt your presence, Hector. I felt your presence, Minister. Okay. With that being said, anything else? Anybody else like to make any additional comments? Any requests?
Just happy holidays. Everybody keep safe, and let's look forward to a wonderful, great new year. I mean, it's been challenging, but we'll take on any challenge, and I know that we all working together, we can move forward. But happy holidays.
I agree. After 2020, I mean, there's nothing more to go but up. The holidays are around the corner. Just stay safe, and hopefully we can sit there and do the right thing, and make sure that, we maintain our safety and follow the guidelines, ordinance guidelines established by the city and by the state. So, but wish everybody the best, and make a motion to adjourn. Anybody make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. I'll go change it up to Elizabeth. And thanks a lot. I appreciate the meeting, and I'm glad Tekla was able to join us. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.